Okay. Now we're recording. So now everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Okay, okay.
That's how this works.
I
Would you
keep that in
say
mind.
would you say Alan Mills, thank you for joining us on Riding the Bus podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Alan
Millsy, what's
Mills,
up?
former Yankee, former Oriole, former Dodger, and now the current, or now he's a manager. He doesn't know what team he's going to manage, but now he's a manager in the Orioles farm system. So thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, talk a little bit about I wish, because you started talking about managing, and I wish I would have recorded that because it was really good, really good stuff that you were talking about, that transition going from pitching coach to manager.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. Like when you deal with pitchers, you have 12, 13, 15 guys at times on your staff. And it's your little group. You know, you're away from the hitters when you're doing your word guys, doing bullpens, PFPs, stuff like that. And you kind of, you know how I feel about pitching, Bennett. I mean, you're on the staff, like one of the best staff I ever had as far as when we were in Delmarva. I think we led the nation at in ERA. And, you know, pitchers, I try to explain to people, like being a pitching coach is like having 12 different girlfriends, like at the same time. Like pitchers they're needy. They are. They're like, I mean, but I'm a pitcher, so I know exactly, you know, that need, you know. So it's like pitchers are needy. And I remember we were in Savannah. I'll never forget it. And Ben, you're like, well, culprits. We were about to stretch, so all the pitchers down in the bullpen, and they're meeting and they're, you know, doing their little spiel. And then you usually have a bullpen catcher who at the time was Jack Graham. And you guys were livid. So I'm walking down there and I can see from a distance, you know, we're in Savannah and we're getting bit by these sand fleas or whatever the hell they call them there, because that was the name of the team, wasn't it? The sand mites or something like that.
Yeah, the sand gnats.
Yeah, and you guys were just going back and forth. And I was like, okay, I wonder what the hell they're talking about. So when I get down there, the first person that says anything is you. And I go, what's going on? You go, those motherfuckers need to learn how to hit. So I'm like, yeah, good afternoon. Good to see you too, Bennett. And then everybody just jumped in like, we're dealing. And then we're shit. They take this, they do this. And then when it comes to the game, they don't hit shit. And I was like, well, dude, I'm a pitching coach. I can't concern myself with that. And you guys were like, live it, right? And I'll never forget it. We were rolling. I mean, pitching staff was rolling. And it was nothing. And I'll say this to the day I die, nothing that I was doing. That was the easiest month I've ever had coaching in my life. All I had to do was come to the park and watch you guys deal.
Bennett, you're shaking.
You can't remember what I told y'all. You can't remember what I told you that day. I told you, I said, hey, we can't worry about them. Just keep doing what we're doing. And I'll never forget when that month ended, Stephen Brault was on the mound. I'll never forget it. He gave up 6 runs in the first inning of the first day of the next month. And by the time that game ended, we had given up something like 14 runs. And I was like, you got to ride it as long as you can. And, it was just a great moment. It was like almost like the baseball guy said, okay, it's over. The run's over. We're going to bring y'all back to life. But I don't know. I like pitching is just, it's unique. It's a unique art. Only position in sports where you're elevated above everybody else. You're closer to God. It's just, yeah, you're special. I mean, you're in the middle of the field. Your number is 1. Like when they name the positions, pitcher's number 1. I mean, if you don't pitch, you're not gonna win. Automatic. I don't care how much you hit. If you don't win, yeah. So pitching pretty much dominates. But I enjoy managing. You know, I enjoyed managing last year. It was different for me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Bennett was telling me out of like the pitching coaches he's had that you're probably the best as far as like taking care of the staff or taking care of the relievers, like, you know, because sometimes a manager wants to put a guy in a tough position. And he said you were always really good about like sticking up for guys and knowing, you know, when guys needed certain rest or whatever. And I was wondering if like managing, you found yourself in positions where, you know, you had to ask more from your pitchers than you were comfortable with.
No, I'm a pitcher at heart. So for
Right.
me, you know, I always look at the guy, his workload, because I've had workloads. You know what I mean? So I can kind of pull from my own personal file. Like I've been abused by managers before, you know, throughout my career, and I've been taken care of by managers throughout my career. So, you know, like I'll give you an example. Nah, I can't give you that example.
Do it.
I
Come
can't do
on,
that.
give it to
Anyway,
us.
yeah,
Give it to
no,
us.
no, 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 no. I can't do that. But I saw a guy one time. He was being, you know, quite a bit. So I'm watching him throw, and I'm telling him like, look, you need to ask for a day off. I wasn't a pitching coach at this time, but you know, I was just coaching. Like, okay, based on what I'm looking at, you're on your way to injury.
Mm.
And the guy for me, because he was in a position in his, I can't say no. And players are like that. I've been there. And I wasn't in the position to shut him down, if that makes sense. And he
Right.
ended up getting injured and had to have surgery. But you know, in his mind, he didn't feel established enough to say it, and I wasn't in a position job wise to say, okay, we can't use it. But as a pitching coach, to me, that's a part of your job. Whether a manager likes it or not, he may want to use that guy, but my job is to protect him because, especially in the minor leagues, major leagues as well, but in the minor leagues for sure, guys don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to abuse a guy in the minor leagues when he's trying to get to the point where he's going to make some money. So
Right.
abusing him there makes no sense to me at all. But
Mhm.
some people don't see it like that. Some people see it as, you know, you got to win, you know, or that person gives me the best opportunity to win. And that may be the truth, but it may not be the best for that particular player.
Right. Right. And
I
like
don't
you
know if that
said,
makes sense or not.
it 100% does. And I like what you said about you kind of have to protect guys in the sense that like athletes, a lot of athletes are not going to take themselves off the field no matter what. It's just you can't. It's a for some guys are good at it. Some guys can say, "Hey, I need a day. I need, you know, I can't go, whatever." But a lot of guys, especially at the highest levels, are wired to always be ready to go no matter what. And it's like you do need somebody in
Right.
a, you know, in a position of power to say, "Hey, I appreciate you wanting to go, but you can't."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember one year we had kind of a, and this was when I was in the major leagues, we had a young bullpen, a lot of inexperience. And the manager at that time used me because I had experience. But in like a 13 game span, I got up, and these are just ups in the bullpen. I got up over 45 times, not including innings I pitched in those games. And I wouldn't say no. And I had experience. Like I could have told a guy no and not worried about getting sent down. But like you said, sometimes you're just wired to go. I can lift my arm, I'm gonna go. But I ended up having surgery later on that year, you know, because I was not able to say no. So sometimes as a coach, it's your job to look out for the best interest of the player because a lot of times guys will not say no.
Right. Right.
on the back to like the pitching coach side of it, like what D-Wash was talking about, like
Mhm.
I always thought you were so good at, because most managers, especially if they're not pitching guys, will abuse their bullpen, and they don't understand, when you get a guy up like that's almost just like pitching an inning,
Yeah.
and that you can't just keep doing it over and over
Right.
again. And I always thought you were good at standing up to the manager and being like, no, this guy, if you get him up multiple times and you don't pitch him, he's just not pitching today. And
Right. He's
I was going to
done.
ask, how much of that do you think was that they respected your like baseball mind, and how much do you think he was just intimidated by you and was going to listen to whatever you told him?
Whatever,
And then
dude. Whatever.
and then I had a follow up
You had to
if maybe the reason why they were intimidated by you was because if I were to say the date May 19th, 1998, does that ring a bell to you? Does that mean anything to you, that date?
Absolutely not.
Okay. If I were to tell you, if I were to tell you on May 19th, 1998, you were with the Baltimore Orioles and you guys were in Yankee Stadium, and you had a slight lead, and your close friend and teammate Armando Benitez came into the game to try to close it out. And it didn't go well. Sometimes it doesn't go well.
Right.
And he had given up a home run, I want to say, to Bernie Williams. And let's say he was the next hitter was Tino Martinez. Let's say he was just trying to come inside, and he missed, and he hit
this glove side.
Yeah, he did miss.
Okay. Well, allegedly. And okay, it ensued what I consider one of the biggest baseball brawls I've ever seen. And I'd like to know kind of your thoughts on that. And there is a video of a man wearing a jacket that at some point runs into it and gets Darryl Strawberry pretty clean. And I'd like to know if you'd like to confirm or deny that person was you.
I will neither confirm or deny it wasn't me.
Okay.
Or it was me. I remember that game. I'll tell you what I'll say about this. That particular game I had pitched, and I think I came in and I faced Jeter, and I think Bernie was next, and they brought in Benitez, and Bernie hit a home run, and we were behind, and I remember on the bench thinking that particular year, I think it was, whatever year it was like, man, we can't beat these guys no matter what. We never have the ability to close them out. Like in my mind, we were just as good, but we never could finish them, So apparently they were better because we couldn't finish them, but on paper we're just as good. And when he hit Tino, it kind of got crazy. Graham Lloyd and Jeff Nelson, they came out of the bullpen. They were irate, which they should have been, because Mondo hit their guy, So I was just kind of just out there, you go out there to support your teammate, but he's wrong. We're all kind of upset because we're losing. They're upset because he hit Tino, and a couple of their players were doing some things, but it just kind of turned a little crazy. Strawberry got in our dugout. It was nothing planned, and it just kind of got chaotic. But the thing that bothered me about that more than anything, Bennett, was this: like, a lot of people don't know this. Like, they connect me and Strawberry, right? I had a poster of him in my room my freshman year of college. Like, I loved watching him play, like, huge fan. So when that brawl took place, it hurt. Literally, it like hurt me because, like, I never mentioned to him or anything like that. Like, okay, I grew up like kind of pretending like, man, I get on the left side even though I couldn't hit left or right, and pretend I was him. You know what I mean? So it kind of took something out of me, by somebody I really grew up, following. So it was more to it than just a brawl for me.
That's so awesome.
That's amazing.
And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Can I ask you, have you talked to Darryl Strawberry since?
No. I mean, like, I talked to him before, but back then the game was a little different. And what I mean is this: like, you'll see guys now, they'll talk to the opponents. Like my rookie year, the pitchers would tell me, hey, don't talk to the opposing hitters. I was like, why? And they're like, well, they want to try to make you think they're a nice guy. You may have to come and say you're a nice guy. You'll be kind of like a little apprehensive about coming in too tight because you might hit him because you think he's a nice guy. He said, but when he's trotting around the bases because you didn't, you think about that nice guy when you're getting that new ball back. So you learn not, like I had spoken to him, and had a conversation with him in passing because I really liked him, but you don't get too close because at the end of the day, they pay you to get those guys out. So like you say, with the mustache, I smile more than anybody, but if a person's on another team, they don't know that. They look at the mustache and say, that dude there, he's a mean dude, but I'm really, just like anybody else.
Yeah, I would say when I was looking up, online, like I was telling you, for like pictures of you playing and whatnot, because I've been around you, I know that you're a very happy guy. You smile a lot. You have no pictures at any point in the big leagues of you smiling.
You won't find them. There's one baseball picture. There's one baseball picture, and I'll find it and send it of me smiling, but because I don't just smile on the picture. I was in the dugout laughing, like how teammates. We were in the dugout just cutting up, and I was just loud laughing. And somebody took a picture of it and they put it on the card. But that's the only way you're gonna see it.
I would love if you said that
smile,
to us.
no.
Is that something that you?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. But yeah,
is that something you did like consciously, like you were out on the field and like, okay, this is no smile time, and then everywhere else go back to normal, or was it just that's just kind of how, I don't know, what sports brought out of you, I guess?
Well, I was always competitive. I mean, from the very onset, I never liked pitching ever until maybe my third year of pro ball. I pitched because it was the thing I did the best. And I don't know, I think I was watching Dave Stewart one day, and he had his hat pulled down, and I was like, damn, he looks like a bad dude. And I seen videos of Bob Gibson, and I was like, man, he don't look too happy out there. And he was pretty good, like Hall of Fame good, and I looked at those guys and I was like, well, maybe I should try to imitate that look, when I'm out there, like where it's all business, but I don't know if I accomplished it because those guys are really good. I never thought I was really that good. I don't know, I just was fortunate, I guess, to have the opportunity to play, I guess, I don't know. Those guys are really good. I was just kind of there, yeah.
I mean, you had a 11-year career. I mean,
I think
don't sell yourself short here. I mean,
I was gonna say, like, if they let you hang around with the really good people for that long, it's kind of evidence that you're also really good.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I guess it depends on the lens you look at it. I mean, I'm playing with my rookie year. I'm playing with Dave Winfield. Okay, Dave Winfield got drafted in the first round in football, basketball, and baseball. He was really good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's insane.
Yeah, like when people in my area and they look at a high school player and they go, he's really good, and I'll say in my mind, yeah, he's good, he's okay. The kid could be really good. Right. But in my mind, like really good, I played with Cal Ripken Jr. I played with Roberto Alomar. I played with, Rafael Palmeiro.
The bar's pretty high.
I played with Eddie Murray. This switch hitting guy hit 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. Yeah, he's pretty good. So like I said, I was okay. Yeah, they were good, you know.
That's actually really interesting.
But
So
you know, like I said,
I was gonna say, like what you were saying about how you play with so many great players. So was
mhm.
that like you had said when you started coaching and you were coaching me when we were in Delmarva, we had a really good staff and you started working with prospects? Like, was that weird for you to hear, like, to be working with guys who had so much hype and was like, this guy's the next like thing, and you being like, I've played with, they're not there yet, type of thing. Like, was that kind of hard for you in the beginning?
It's the hardest thing, and if you so you'll realize it when you're coaching a guy, they have no idea,
Right.
but they think they. And when I say that, this is what I mean. Okay, I had a guy. I'm not gonna name him. He was a young guy in Double A, had all the tools, but he was ahead of the curve because he was younger than everybody on the staff. But he was a bullshitter. Like he was just happy go lucky. I'm here, and it's like, dude. And I would kind of stay on him, and he always seemed to say like, okay, you're just over the top, you're extreme. It's like, no, dude, not extreme. You need to. But he didn't understand what I saw in him, and if he would have done that, he would have left me like that. But it took him like 2 years after that to mature to understand, like, damn, I'm really good. Yeah, you are. I'm telling you 2 years, and like a player should know. Like if you're just getting a Double A, you don't have any idea what it's like in Triple A or the major leagues. My job as a coach is to prepare you for that. So you can't know what I know. You can't see what I see until you've actually been there. You know what I mean? And it's like I had one guy tell me one time, he went to one of those smart schools, colleges. So I was kind of coaching him or trying to.
Now I know who you're
And he
talking
goes,
about.
you think you're smart? Oh my goodness. Okay, don't say his name.
I will.
So I was like looking at him like, dude, you might be, who was that?
I'm not saying his name.
Oh, okay, good, good. So he goes, you think you're smarter than me? And I was just kind of like thrown back, like, what did you just say? And I kind of just tried to tell him one time, it was like, look, you may be an engineer. I don't know. You may be able to build a bridge across the Atlantic Ocean with toothpicks that a freight train could travel over. But what I know and what you know about baseball are two different things. Like they pay me to coach you. Like I'm not going to force feed you. I want to help you. I like my job, but I can only give you information if you're receptive. It doesn't matter. And that's why, like the main thing, I try to get to know the player, or excuse me, the person, and then you can deal with the player. If a person feels like, this is just my take, isn't anything that's etched in stone. It's just like for me to coach you, I feel like the player needs to know that I have your best interest at heart. It's not a numbers thing with me. I'm not trying to ride you to get to the big leagues or get here in my career. My job is to enhance your career. That's what they hire me for, not to ride you to get to where I want to get.
Yeah,
And I try
establishing that
to
trust.
talk to Bennett in years. You know, right? Like I hadn't talked to Bennett in years. Like when I saw his message, like this instant smile came across my face. I was like, yeah, what's he doing? It it interests me. I'm glad I have his number now. Like I still text guys that, I mean, because it's more than baseball. Like when it comes to coaching, it's like the day is going to come when everybody stops playing, whether you're a Hall of Famer or you stop playing in rookie ball. That day's coming for everybody. You can stop playing in high school. The day that someone stops playing comes for everyone. So to me, it's more about the person than the player. That I always try to keep that first because, like, I don't know, like coming up, I noticed back when I was playing, some coaches treated you based on how you were performing, and I always thought that was kind of, okay, the guy may be a terrible baseball player at this level, but that doesn't mean he's not a good person. You know what I mean? Just because he cannot perform on the field doesn't mean, okay, I treat him as if he's got COVID. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some coaches, Bennett, have you ever run across that?
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple times.
Yeah, like I just, you know what I mean? Yeah, it sucks. It's like I've run across that. Like I've been the worst player one year in the minor leagues. I was the worst pitcher in the whole league, not just my team. And sometimes you get treated accordingly, and it's just like, okay, I'm just not playing well. But that doesn't mean I'm a murderer or something like that. I'm just not a good baseball player right now. But be able to separate the two, I think, or at least try to.
That to me can be the hardest part about a slump or a rough streak, whatever you want to call it, is regardless of like how you personally feel about it, is seeing like other people kind of avoid you.
Right.
Whether it's because they they think you're gonna snap at them, or just because they don't want like the bad juju or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, especially when you're not really that mad, when you're just kind of like, yeah, it's a tough time. Would love someone to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to.
Nobody wants to be around the guy who's struggling.
Right. Like when I say struggle, hell, I was 2-11 one year with a damn near 6 ERA. Exactly. It was comical.
Get the ball down, mate. Jesus.
Manager was cool. He didn't get the ball down. I couldn't get the ball anywhere. Just set up low and away. I threw it behind the hitter. And he just like, okay, I had no clue. You talk terrible. The worst pitcher in the league. And I just remember when we would ride home from the games, there was a bus station, and I didn't have my car with me that year. And I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up, station, I'm gonna buy a ticket, I'm gonna go home. Because there's no reason for me to be playing. No reason. This was an A ball. I was terrible. And I stuck with it, but I remember that struggle. So when I see people struggle, I try to make sure, I let them know, like, hey man, it's gonna be okay. The sun's still gonna come up tomorrow. Like, I know whatever, you just got to get through it. Keep your head up, but when a person doesn't hear that from someone, it can spiral way deep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can I
that suicide comes on.
I want to tell a quick story because I wasn't I feel like it kind of is what we're talking about and give you an insight of what you're talking about. And I don't want to make you feel bad for telling this story, but I remember when we first met, I was an extended and you had shown up to extended because you were going to be the pitching coach in Aberdeen. And for people that don't know extend, you're an extended after spring training, then you're either going to go to the GCL after that, or you get to go up and get to go to Aberdeen and play like actual baseball, essentially.
I know this story.
So me and Millsy, I actually don't know if you do. So me and Millsy in extended, I think got pretty close. Like I really enjoyed, no problem saying you were my favorite pitching coach I've ever had in pro ball. And we were close. And like every day we would talk and we'd get along and all that kind of stuff. And the talk was, because my understanding was I thought very highly of myself as a pitcher. And I like to think that you did too. And that we would talk sometimes in terms of like when we get to Aberdeen, like how things would be type of thing. And then like the week leading up to when rosters were going to come out, you stopped talking to me as much because I think you knew that I wasn't going to break with Aberdeen like I think you originally thought. And that was my first thinking of like, oh shit, like it's not happening or whatnot. And like that feeling of like nobody, and then you start like nobody will look at you, nobody will talk to you. It's like, oh my, it's happening. It's not going to
right. Right. I tell you what, if that was the case, I don't consciously remember gonna avoid him. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't recall being that way. You know what I mean? Toward anybody that I knew was gonna sit down or whatever. But it's funny you say that, like you bring that up. In spring training, people get released, right? And as a player, you know how players joke with each other, and they kid and they're practical jokers in the clubhouse everywhere. But in spring training, there are a lot of people. So what we used to do when I played, if we got to the park early, when I was would release you, they would bag all your stuff, and then it'd be like a note in your locker to say, "Go see the trainer." So if we got there early, what we'd do, we'd bag up people's stuff and put a tag in their locker and say, "Go see the trainer," and we watch them from a distance. They'll to us because it wasn't real, but watching the people's face, like, okay, I'm getting released, And so as a coach, it's different because we called it the Grim Reaper.
Schmitty.
So yes, so you get assigned by the farm director. Okay, you're the Grim Reaper today, and it's like, man, I don't want to be the Reaper, right? You don't want to be that guy because once you get the first guy, and word gets spread that you're looking for people, nobody makes eye contact with you. Yeah, it's like, okay, like I'm the bad guy. Like I'm just the bad guy today. And you go get the guy and it's just like, man, I'm sorry. Like, and you feel bad because you went to get him, and you feel bad because it's somebody's career. And you're the guy that's initiating this. And it's just like, I don't want to be the Reaper. You're the Reaper. And it's just like, okay. So I used to do it. Just put my hoodie on and just say, whatever. I got to do it. I have no say in this. It sucks. Like when the guy starts crying, a grown man in front of you.
Oh man,
it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. Like the first. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you think the process would be easier if, like, every time there was somebody had to be the Grim Reaper, if they actually brought out like a Grim Reaper costume?
No, he might get shot. Somebody might go posting and shooting. No,
oh man, I'd love that though.
I just think, it'd be so terrible.
I remember
but it'd be so
letting it go. Right. Yeah, it'd be funny if the guy's not you. That's what I'm saying. Like, right. Yeah, like we released a guy one time, and the guy he just started bawling. And it was my first year coaching. And, I've seen guys get released, and I'd never been the Reaper where I was actually in the room. But it was the first guy that I had to release with a manager, and I was a pitching coach, and it was a pitcher. And he wasn't that good, but he was such a nice guy. He was just a great kid. He was a great kid. Do anything you ask. Work harder than anybody else. And I just didn't expect him to start crying. And when he did, it was just like, I was almost shocked. And I was just like, man, do I go hug him? If I hug him, will he punch me? You know what I mean? Like it was, right. You're in a place where it's like, okay. And then the manager was so matter of fact about it. He made me laugh. He goes, what did he think? He sucked. And I was just like, okay. Like, to me, it was like, okay, you're right. He did. He wasn't good, but like, like, man.
Oh my God, I remember who this is. Oh my God.
You do?
Oh,
I was just like,
this is in Aberdeen, right? Was this in Aberdeen? Oh yeah. Oh my God. I remember
that. Just like, I was like, dude, I mean, yeah, you're right. He wasn't good, and it just. He's a guy, he's a person. The guy's like, huh? And he just kind of moved on past, and I was like, okay, I guess that's how you do it, And I've had to do it as a manager, and it sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as a pitching coach, you sit there and you wait because the manager is the guy in charge, and it's the guy you're with, but he's delivering the bad news, right, and you're kind of there to kind of support both sides, And as a manager, it really sucks because you start it. Like I had to do that in 2019 to release guys. And it's just like, okay, I'm sitting there, okay, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at the desk and it's like, okay, I just start praying before the guy comes in. It's like, okay, just give me the right words to say that doesn't like just crush a guy, but that gets me through it. And then after you do one and another, you kind of get, I don't want to say, I never got to where that guy was, that manager was, but I was able to do it in a way that wasn't so, I guess, heart crushing, you know.
Right.
So
Can I ask you a question talking about getting released in the Grim Reaper? I've never asked you this, but we don't need to get in my whole backstory, the problems that I had with the Orioles when I was there. But I'm okay calling this guy out. But our minor league coordinator, Brian Graham, at the time, we had some issues. Okay. And my knowledge of when he would release guys is most of the time he would just do it by himself. Like he would have someone go get the guy, they would call him into their office, and then he would release them. Now, when he released me, because we had problems, I remembered specifically that you were in the room and he had asked Ryan Miner. And for people that don't know Ryan Miner, he's a 6'6", 6'7", ex-big leaguer guy also in the room. And I always thought he did that because he was afraid that I was going to do something. Brian Graham was afraid that I was going to react in a way where he wanted backup in there. Can you confirm that suspicion of mine, or am I wrong?
I don't remember that in that being the way it was.
Okay.
But I can say that I do know at times people will have people in the room because of that. They don't know how the person will react. And I did coach you and I know you. So I'm not going to say that wasn't the case because you could fly off the handle. You know, that could have been the case right then. I've been in a room with a guy that they were worried about, I know for a fact. And he was just like, thank you, and just left. And I was like, okay, that was cool because I didn't feel like wrestling with anybody, like, you know, but
I was gonna ask,
that is the case sometimes. But I don't.
My bad. Have you seen anybody get violent in that room?
Oh yeah, not with me. I've seen as a player, and I won't name the player. Like when I was a player, I took martial arts for about 10 years. So I used to have a sword in my locker, not for use. It was just I was really heavy into martial arts, and I had a throwing axe. And this guy got released. Not released. He actually got sent down. And it was funny. Both of us got sent down. I got sent down like 3 days later, and this was late in my career with the Expos actually. And me and him pitched better than anybody that spring training. I came on late and they weren't able to keep me on the team because they couldn't make a move. Probably the same thing with him. You know, you understand you're sending someone else's. So when they sent him down, he was livid. He was running around the clubhouse, you know, like MFing everybody. And let me find a pitching coach. He was basically saying, he goes, I'm going to kill him. So the first thing I was thinking was, okay, I got to get this sword and this axe, throwing axe, put up because, you know, this dude here, he's lost it. And, you know, he finally got calmed down, but it was a tense moment. Like, okay, what's going to happen next? And that can get scary because you know, you never know. You never know.
So I didn't know you had a martial arts background. And that makes me think about like the what we were talking about, the brawl. And I was just thinking how interesting brawls are in sports because you have these mixes of people. Some people are angry and actually want to do something. Most people don't want to do anything. And also most people aren't that comfortable with violence. You know what I mean? Like People don't know what to do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times in a physical altercation. So how interesting was that for you to like see athletes in those positions being somebody that is probably more comfortable with physical altercations than most? Does it make it like kind of
I
comical?
don't want to say this without sounding. No, no, never. It's never comical.
Mm.
It's comical before before you've been trained. Like I've been in a brawl before I start taking martial arts, and it's chaotic. And I remember, dude, during the brawl, like after things had calmed down, he was like, "You all right?" And I just started, and he was like, well, "Why are you laughing?" I was just like, like 10 minutes ago, who thought we'd have been here? Like the way game, who thought I'd be on the field with buttons missing in my shirt, just been in 2 fights, and we were playing a baseball game. It was
Yeah, how do we
funny to
get
me,
here?
like how we ended up. Yeah, right here. But once I started taking martial arts, like it was years before I got in a brawl. After I had taken them, and that brawl that Bennett brought up earlier, I kind of blacked out, and you know, like if anyone knows me, like Bennett's laughing right now. He's been around me for years, and he knows like he can come up to me and say "F you, Millsy," and we could smile about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, like the persona people get. Okay, I'm a mean guy. That's not really true. If you know me. So when I blacked out brawl, you like around Giraldi's neck, or like his collar, and we had a coach named Rick Down, and he was like, "I got you, Mills, I got you." So I ended up letting him go, but I was so hyped, I was pacing, and people were like moving back, like my teammates, and I played with these guys for years, and you play with a guy, you know him.
Yeah.
So whatever they saw during that blackout, freaked them out, and it freaked me out because I blacked out, and I kind of got away from martial arts after that because I always thought it was kind of like just BS, like, okay, we do all this stuff in martial arts, katas and positions and all of this crap. I go, nobody fights like that. And soon as that fight took place, all of that stuff came to me like tying up your shoe.
Really? Wow.
Scared me because it was like all the stuff that I had practiced, I didn't think about it, it just locked in. And I was just like, okay, it was all done. And I was like, damn, am I dangerous? And not even know it. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of, it actually scared me. It was like, man, I always thought it was like bullshit. All the stuff they train you to do, you never really get in a fight. You're just training, and you're doing all these different positions, and you hold them and you blocks and whatever, like imaginary fights. They call them katas. And when that thing took place, I could feel it, but I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, you just had the muscle memory.
My body moved. Yeah, and it was scary, and I scared me. I took martial arts maybe another year after that, and I just stopped, and I was like, maybe I don't need to do this. So
yeah,
I don't know. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that. I didn't know you like
What's
took
that?
martial arts. I said I didn't know you like took martial arts. I will say you brought up how when we were together, like we had the type of relationship where we were just like, oh fuck you, or type of that. And obviously it was friendly.
Right.
But but that's all fun and
Right.
games until the time where maybe one of us, this time you, were not necessarily in the mood for that. And I tried that and we had a little blow up. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but Mr. Washington, the way Bennett remembers the story and the way I remember the story is completely different now. Bennett, you tell me if I got this wrong.
Okay.
like in extended, sometimes pitchers have duties, even though they're not playing. And sometimes those duties require them to go road trip, right? Be doing a game chart or whatever, doing something like that, some kind of chart. So before the games, you put those duties up and there's names next to them. So Bennett happened to be chosen. He wasn't pitching, but him to do a chart. So he comes to me because we have a relationship and he goes, hey man, I don't really want to go on the road. My family comes in town, my sister's in town. You know, I don't really want to go on the road. And I said, man, your sister's kind of hot. If you could hook up a date, I didn't know. No, that's just kidding. I'm kidding about that. I said, okay, your family's in town. You don't have to go. I'll scratch y'all. So he goes, cool. I go, cool. So maybe 2 weeks later, his family's gone home. Put him on the duties again. He comes up and tells me, I'm not going. I'm not fucking going. Like, dude, when your family was in town, I let you stay back. I didn't have to, but I let you stay back because your family's in town. I understand. I was working with you. Now work with me. I'm not fucking going. That was his. I am not fucking going. So I lose it. Program. It got kind of stupid and heated. I remember Smitty. Smitty still talks about that to this day. When I say I'm a nice guy, he goes, yeah, Bennett Perry doesn't think so. And I was like, you don't even understand our relationship. I said, but I do recall that day. So is that about right, Bennett, or no?
Well, I'm going to tell you the worst part about this is that's not even the story I was talking about. So I forgot about that.
Okay.
And this has happened more than once. So I'm going to say, I will say to that story specifically, I was 100% in the wrong for the way that I handled that whole thing. No question. I have no problem admitting I was going through a tough time. It was extended spring trading. It was not my finest moment. No problem admitting completely in the wrong. The time I was talking about was when we were in Delmarva, and I don't know if you had, I was basically about to throw a bullpen. This is the way I remember it. I was basically getting ready to throw a bullpen. I think maybe you had either gotten into it with another of the pitchers or maybe the trainer or something. You just maybe weren't in a good mood or type of thing. And like, I think because we had a close relationship, I was like, like maybe you were in my way. I was like, move meat or like, get the fuck out of my way or something like that. Like joking with you. and you were like,
right.
And you were like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And I was like, oh shit, I was joking. But like, because you came, I was like, well, I have to match that intensity. And I was like, you heard me, type of thing, like still kind of thinking
and
we were joking. And then we obviously weren't joking. And I was like, oh shit, now I'm in it. Like now I have to continue this type of thing. So that was actually the time I was talking. I actually forgot about that time it extended, but you were 100% right. I was 100% wrong in that situation.
Yeah, I don't even remember the one you got now. I don't. I kind of remember it, but not like you, I'm sure. Because you were joking that I probably was in something that happened, something that had to happen.
Right.
Because they tell me that all the time, even to this day.
I forgot about the one extended.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was bad. I remember you
that was really bad.
You called Brian Graham, the minor league coordinator, and you made me explain to him what was going on the phone. And I remember just being
I told him. He made me do that. Like, it was just how we get here.
It was just such a that moment where I knew I was wrong, right? And so my two options were to just admit it and be like, my bad, or to just keep digging and try to fight it out. And I took
You're the
latter.
Keep digging guy.
I took the latter.
Oh, Bennett digs in with the best of them.
Yes, that's his personality. Right. That's one of the reasons I really love him. It's just like that's who he is.
It's also the reason why I'm not playing anymore.
Sometimes you need that.
That's such a fun part of the. Right? It's such a fun part of the clubhouse is having so many personalities like that, where you can see these two people don't hate each other. They're best of friends, but they're just in a situation where neither of them can afford to give an inch, for absolutely no reason.
Right. Like if you could have been in Savannah when I was walking to the bullpen and Bennett was he was just making a mob of the guys in the bullpen. Like, okay, we're dealing, and these guys suck. Like, if you could have seen him like build them up, and I was like, okay, I don't have enough ammo to kind of corral these guys because they were irate, and he was the ringleader. It was so funny, and it was like, yeah, you're right. We give up 1 run a game and we lose 2-1. You know, it's like, you guys you can't give up anything, because we couldn't hit right then for nothing. We weren't, hitting at all. But, you know, like I said earlier, when you coach pitchers, it's like having 12 girlfriends, because they're all different. You know, they're just completely different, you know.
You got some experience with that, no?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, now, I don't say I do. I say I don't. I do not. I don't.
Okay.
Social distancing, I'm practicing. So
okay, good.
I remember I got into it with Vader one time, and this was in Aberdeen, and I was like, okay, you know, you watch a guy, and you kind of have an idea of what they need to maybe change or adjustments they need to make. So Vader was throwing a bullpen. So right before he started, I said, Vader, I want you to, you know, try this. Before I even, first thing out of his mouth, I can't. So like inside, I'm like laughing, like, okay, at least let me tell you what I'm thinking before you tell me you can't do it. And then maybe we can like reach some kind of common ground, you know? So I was like, you can't? I go, I haven't even told you. He goes, I can't. And I said, listen. And, you know, like, you have to reason with him like a chick. Like, dude, I'm paid to coach you, to help you. Now, I'm not saying what I'm about to tell you is the answer, but it's something to think about. I said, I'm going to tell you, but I'm not going to force feed you to do it. I'm going to tell you what I think, and then I'm going to go back here. And then you can throw your bullpen and you can move forward. But I have to tell you because that's my job. But you remember Vader used to have this guy back home.
I do know.
And I was trying to tell him, like, right, you had that guy too, right?
Yeah.
So I was telling Vader, I was like, okay, I don't have anything against you having your guy at home, but you can only talk to him after you pitch.
Right.
I'm here while you're pitching, so like, use me.
Right.
I don't want to come between you and that guy, but you can't talk to him until the game's over with.
Yeah.
In the third inning, when you need to talk to somebody, I'm here. He's not. You know, like, I want you to get out of here and advance in your career, you know. But he ended up doing it on his own. He really ended up having a really good second half of the season. I was so happy for him. Yeah. Is he still married to Hot Amy?
I have not talked to him in a long time. I got to be honest with you, but I know they got married, so I hope that everything's gone well. Can I wanted to say to you, because you were talking about coaching, and I think it's such a good point when you talk about coaching of like, and I think me and D-Wash agree on this, of what makes a good coach is like understanding your players and understanding that maybe each person might need a little different thing and like how to relate to them. And you talk about wanting to like be close to them on a personal level. Cause like when I think of you as a pitching coach, like there's so many reasons why I think you're a great coach, but like my number one thing I think of is like how you fought for me to be able to like keep my beard. And like you understood that was like where I got my confidence and like how I got my spot. And you were like, Bennett dominates when he just let him have. And I remember you like fought for that for me, and I was like, fuck yeah, like that's all right with that guy. Like if he's willing to go to bat for, it's a stupid reason, but the fact that he understood that it was important to me and I would pitch well, and I got
if that makes you tick, right? I remember there's a story Eddie Murray told one time, and I'll never forget it. It was about Albert Bell. If you know him, he go off on the deep end sometimes and do something that was kind of like, okay, what's that? Well, it was Albert Bell. You know, he's just kind of crazy that way. So something was going on in the game, and Albert Bell comes up to the clubhouse and just destroys something. He destroys it. He was like, how are we going to win with these pretzels in the clubhouse. Right? So anybody like looking like, what the hell what did you just say? Pretzels? But in my mind, it's like, okay, if he feels like the pretzels are a problem, get the damn pretzels out of the clubhouse. Because I need him to swing it. You know what I mean? Like that's how my mind works. It's not like, okay, he's crazy. Well, obviously he's crazy if he's thinking the pretzels are a problem. Right. But if the pretzels are causing him a problem, I need him to be right, to feel right.
Right. Doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. We got to fix the problem.
Get out of this clubhouse. Right. If the beard makes him pitch better, hell, let him have the beard. What are we trying to do here, right? That's just the way I see it.
I always loved that. I always loved that. Was Albert Bell the guy who like got hit by a pitch and like refused to go to first? Am I remembering that right? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like he got.
I saw that. Yeah. I was at that game.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that in my life.
Yeah.
He got
hit. Have you ever seen that?
No, he just said, "No, I'm hitting."
Yeah, he was just like this big. He's like, "Nah, I want to keep hitting."
I've started to argue with the umpire that I didn't get hit.
No, I'm not going.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he got hit, like literally got hit and dug in. Like, I'm not going. Like, dude, you have to go. He stopped the game. He was nuts. He was the only guy I know get a signal and get pissed.
Now you know two people.
He chased me, Bennett.
Because now D-Wash is also like that.
He chased me one time. We were playing together, and he was like he's like a nerd. He's like really smart. We're sitting in his locker, and he had all these baseballs just in the locker, like in no order. So I was talking to him like, are those home runs? And if they are, how did you get them back? You know what I mean? Like, how did you get those many balls back? So I reached, like I'm sitting at his locker. I reached for a ball, and he jumped, like flinched. He goes, "Don't touch those balls." Hey, look, okay, is he serious? Like they're there. Like anybody can touch them. You know, you're not always here. So I reached again, and he jumped. He goes, "I'm telling you, don't touch my balls." So I was like, okay, he's serious, right? Like, well, okay, I respect you. I'm not gonna touch your balls, right? So I left it alone. So he goes out to stretch, and I wouldn't touch his balls because that's his personal property. So I come out to stretch, and I'm throwing a ball in the air, and I go, "Albert, this is one of your balls, right, from your locker." He took off in a sprint. Usain Bolt couldn't have caught him. Okay. Straight into the clubhouse. And he comes out about 5 minutes later. He goes, "That's not one." And I'm like, okay, do you have him numbered? Like what? Like when you're talking about like superstition and baseball, people are crazy. They are nuts. Like for me, I tie my shoes once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tie them once a year.
And you slip your feet in and out for the rest of the year?
Exactly. And they fit like a glove. Like I tie them tight and just slip them on. So one time we were in Texas, man, I lost it. I come in the clubhouse and my shoes are untied. And I know who it was. It was Jesse Orozco. I know he did it. To this day, I know it was him. I'll go to my girl thinking it was him. I get there and my shoes are untied. So and I told clubbies, do not touch my shoes. I shine my own shoes. I'll clean them, but do not touch my shoes. It was like a thing for me. I don't know why. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I get there one day and my shoes are untied. And I call all the clubbies. I call them all in the group. I say, "Who touched my shoes?" And they're looking at me like, "Look, dude, you already told us not to touch your shoes. We didn't touch your shoes." And I said, "My shoes are untied." And I'm looking around the clubhouse and I'm thinking, okay, it's Orozco. So I asked Orozco, no, it wasn't me. I gave up back-to-back home runs that game, followed by a ground rule double. I came in there and I MF everybody in the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever touch my shoes, I swear I will kill you. Like it was a shoe. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the shoe that gave up the home run. It was my bad pitches.
Right.
But in my mind, the shoes were important, just kind of like the beard is important for him. You got something. I
Right.
guarantee you have something
There's
as a
something.
player that,
Yeah.
everyone
No,
has
I
it.
think my thing, I get annoyed with pitchers touching bats.
Mm.
I think that's a pretty common one. But there's been times where it's worked out fine. But if I saw a pitcher like messing with one of my bats and then I go and break that bat,
You're pissed.
it's 100% because the pitcher was touching it. I know it's not.
Exactly.
I know it's not. I know it's not, but it is.
Right. It is. Exactly.
It
just
because
I broke it.
Just because they both happened at the same time, like like the shoes didn't force you to give up home runs in a ground rule double, but it can't happen. The two things can't happen in the same day. It's just not acceptable.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%
exactly.
understand.
That's baseball thing. Yeah, for sure.
D-Wash, can I ask you a question? Because I was thinking about, I remember when we were in Long Island, I was facing Endy Chavez one time. And I guess I threw him a pit and maybe he tried to chase it, but he let go of the bat and it came back to me and I picked it up and gave it back to him. Would you say in that situation you wouldn't even want the pitcher to bring it back to you?
It's not that. Okay. That's yeah. If it's just like a courtesy, in the game, yeah. I'm talking about pitchers bat and just going oh, this feels good. Oh, I could hit, yeah. And then
I think
you just got all your non-hitting, all that.
Put my bat down.
All of your non-hitting ability just transferred from from your brain through your hands into my bat, and it's gonna make me suck my
bat.
Yeah, I'm not a.
I may not get a hit for a week.
I'm not a superstitious guy, but I don't like people touching my glove. No, don't put your hand in my glove.
Yeah, that doesn't strike me totally. That stuff isn't totally superstitious. That's kind of, people just don't like their stuff being touched.
Right.
In general,
right.
but yeah, it gets as far as what I think it can make me do. That's where it's kind of superstitious.
Right.
That's funny.
And baseball is all it's all confidence because you play so much.
Right. So much of it is,
you need that.
Yeah, so much of it is just is your mind state, is just how good you feel in your head. And if you have something like that that's just kind of nagging, it's I can't compete like this. Get these pretzels out.
Exactly, they got to go.
The similarities between David Washington and Albert Bell are
uncanny. As soon as we're done with this, I'm researching Albert Bell because it sounds like somebody I would have loved to talk hitting with.
I think he was a righty, right, Millsy?
Yeah.
So that might be the only difference, but. You know what's funny? I just realized, me and D-Wash were talking about this the other day, is we were talking about Cal Ripken and his streak. And I kind of forgot. I wouldn't even think about we were going to talk to you in a little bit. So I was just thinking when we were talking, what was that like being a part of that? Was that how did the players in the clubhouse view that streak? Does that question make sense?
You know what's funny about that, Bennett? Yeah. I'll just give you an overview. The players, we never really thought about it. The media talked about it, or people around town talked about it. Back then I had hair, so I go to the barbershop, and if you go to the barbershop, people talk. I'd been to the barbershop before, getting a haircut. Someone come in and talk about Lane where I gave up a home run, and they don't even know I'm the guy sitting in the chair. But the barbers know, and they go, "Yeah, what do you think about that guy Mills?" He goes, "Yeah, that ball he gave up last night, I'm sure it landed somewhere in the harbor." And I'm looking at the guy the hell with you. But they don't even know it's me. But people in Baltimore, when Cal would struggle, the people around town was he's struggling because of that streak. He needs to take a day off, everybody off, right? But honestly, I can honestly say this. He's one of the strongest players I've ever played with. And when I say strongest, I'm not talking about get on their bench and lift this amount of weights or squat this amount of weights. Just literally a man. Like, we used to have wrestling matches before the game. Me, Arthur Rhodes, and Benitez against him, BJ Surhoff, and Chris Hoyles. And I mean, we're going at it.
Some serious wrestling matches.
And you would think, yeah, I mean, like we're getting after it. He's got a streak going on. Any of us heard him, you are released and probably banned for baseball for life. You probably get the death penalty if you ever picked up a baseball. But he wasn't a guy that he was careful. Okay, I'm delicate. He was never that guy. He was just like a normal dude in the clubhouse, horse around with anybody. Just I watched him come in one day, and I'll never forget this. I'll never forget it. I used to always get to the park early. Like, I was usually like the first guy to the clubhouse because I should run a lot. So I'm in the clubhouse. I'm on the training table getting my ankle taped. And walks in, and he's bent over. And he's limping. And I'm like, there's no way in hell he's playing today unless he DHs. And he'll just, kind of get through it. There's no way he could play today. He played 9 innings shortstop that night. And you never would have known there was anything wrong with him. And like watching him walk in the club, like there is no way he's playing. No way. And he was like, he just had man strength. And I don't even know how to explain it any better than that. He was just a dude, man. I mean, he's 6'5". Yeah, a lot of people don't know how big he was, but he's like 6'5". He's just strong, man. Just strong, country strong, just strong. You know what I mean? Just a big dude.
Was there ever anything?
I don't know how he did it.
Was there anything in the clubhouse, like with the players, like you said, where if he was struggling, and you were like, "Hey, man, like just take a day or two or something like that"? There was never any of that.
Nah. I mean, players would come over from other teams, and sometimes how players can be jealous of other people. Like hell, there was one time if he wanted to run for governor, he would have won hands down. It didn't matter who he was running against. Yeah. That's how popular he was in that state. So, you had jealousy like that, but never about the streak. It was never anything like that. Like it was just a part of that team and that culture. I mean, he was the guy. And then I think at times, because he played so much, other guys played too much.
Yeah.
I remember one year was like we were really good, but when we reached August, like the middle of August, our team just kind of faded. And I think we as a team, the everyday players, played too much. And I think a lot of guys played because he played. You know what I mean? And maybe the manager felt the same way. Like, I don't know, because I'm not an everyday player. But you could tell our team was tired, and he never got like tired like that. Or he did tired, but he's horse, man.
Yeah, well, it's tough. Like we talked about, like the way athletes are wired. Like I imagine it's hard to be on a team where your best player never takes a day, and to be like, I think I need a day.
Yeah,
like, oh, David, you need a day. You're hitting 217. You should be thankful for every time your name's written.
We'll give you more than a day.
I've been there.
That was always my thing. Like, cause I'll never ask for a day. Right. And I think that's just from getting the days that I got weren't because I needed a day off. They were just because we have a better option that day.
Right.
So it was like, I never wanted to, if I have the option, I don't want to come out. I imagine it'd be tough with
that's normal.
Stud doing that.
I always hated when I was pitching and the manager would come up to me like in between innings, be like, how do you feel? Like, can you go another one? Like, what do you think I'm ever gonna say no? Like,
right,
no, I'm never gonna be like, no, I can't. Like, I'm gonna be like, I will go until you take me out, but it'd be nice if you should be able to go. Yeah, you can pay attention to what's going on right now and see that you should probably get someone else in there at some point.
Right. I played for a manager that would always leave you in an inning too long.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was really good until you sent me out there for that other inning that I should have been out. And that sucks when you're a player because you're playing well. And it's just like, okay, you should be able to see that it's about that time.
Right.
Like, yeah, but sometimes they don't. They just like, okay, I'm gonna ride it. Like, yeah, you rode it right until my ERAs messed up again. So,
yeah, that's so true. You were always really good at that. You were always good at being like, I'd rather you had a great outing, I'm shutting it down there, than send you back out there. And like, because I remember you were big. I want to say it was you because I remember one of the years that you were my pitching coach. The manager was big on like sending, let's say I was pitching, being a lefty, was like, okay, well, there's a lefty leading off the inning, so we're gonna send you out there like just for him or whatnot. And you'd be like, listen, he's done his job. He's pit. Like, why are we like sending him back out there? Or he's just given us 7 strong innings. Like, he's good. Like, he doesn't need to go out there and face a couple more guys. It's going to go bad. It's always going to go bad when you do that.
Just say thank you. Say thank you and move on. Like, I never got that. I never got that as a player or coach. It's like, okay, he did his job.
Right.
Now it's time for somebody else to do their job. Whether they do it or not, don't mess up his. He did a good job.
Right.
I don't know.
No, it's.
I felt that way about Rennie one time. Like, Rennie was pitching, and you remember Rennie was struggling Delmarva.
Yeah.
And he was pitching, and I mean, he was stealing. But he had been struggling. And this is where, like, coaching, sometimes you're caught in between. Like, he had pitched like 5 innings and he had something like 58 pitches and was dealing, but he had been struggling. And I wanted so bad to take him out of the game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Okay. And I was like looking at Ryan like, damn, like, we should get him out and let him feel good about it. But it was like, okay, if we do that, you're going to get a call from somebody up top. Like, he only had 58 pitches. Why'd you take him out? Well, the reason was when we sent him out for the 6th, he got bombarded. That's why I wanted to take him out. Right. But you couldn't say that before it happened. It was like, I knew we should have taken him out of the game. I wish I would have just dealt with the phone call.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they would have been like, okay, we're about developing. It's like, okay, yeah, I know we're about developing, but you ever try to develop when you're struggling?
Right.
You develop, like a bad attitude. You develop no confidence. I'm trying to develop the player, so confidence is a part. But they don't, they don't want to hear that. So,
no, but that's what's so important about coaching is understanding that. Listen, we can make this guy feel good. You can kind of reset everything if we just let this guy feel good. That's kind of
important, right?
Yeah. They talk about like a quarterback that's struggling, like just give him a couple dump offs or something like that. Just give him some completions so he can get back in his rhythm. It's kind of the same thing, but so many managers in baseball is like you get greedy with starting pitchers. Like he's going until he's in trouble as opposed to he's done his job. Let's give the ball to somebody else.
Yeah. Let him feel good. There's nothing wrong with that.
Feeling
I think,
good.
Like when you say that, you're right. Important. People they don't put enough emphasis on it because everything is based on numbers. And baseball's a numbers game, so that'll never go away. Even with the analytics now, it's even more so. But when you're developing a player, one of the most important things is confidence. It's huge because if you're confident, you can make a bad pitch and it turn out right. It could work out for you. When you're not confident, you can make a good pitch and it turn out wrong. Mm-hmm. Same thing, I'm sure, hitting. You could be totally fooled on a pitch when you're confident, get the barrel to the ball and flare a double down the line somewhere. But when you're going terrible, guy can throw you a cock shot fastball right down the middle, and you couldn't hit it with an ironing board. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's all based on confidence. And that I think sometimes get overlooked because numbers are so important. And numbers are, analytics is very important. But the mental side of it, when you're dealing with a player, is huge. But there's no emphasis put on that part of the game.
Yeah.
And it never has been for some reason. I don't know why.
If the only thing I can think of is it's so hard to coach. It's so it's not tangible. Right. Like it's really easy to tell somebody mechanically what they're doing wrong and how to fix it, because everybody's got some sort of mechanical flaw, right? But like I don't know, it's hard to. I feel like it's hard to tell someone to have confidence in themselves. But yeah, like you said, it's the most important thing.
But like when you ask that question, all right, why is it hard? All right, that's the question that has to be answered, because, all right, Bennett's been around me. I've been around different players, different coaches, me as a player being coached. It's difficult because a lot don't try to understand it. It's like, okay, all three of us on this call, at one point in our careers, we've been dominant. Whether you're talking about Little League, high school, professional baseball, at one point we've been dominant. You agree?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You remember? Okay. At one point, everyone on this call has sucked. Remember what that feels like?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing when you're coaching. You know when a guy sucks. You know when he's dominant. So what you do is you try to bridge a gap if he's not feeling good. So you try to take small steps where he starts feeling confident. It doesn't matter that guy's out there throwing 98. If I'm confident and I feel a certain way, I got all the time in the world. But when you're struggling at the plate, every time you come to the damn plate, you're 0-2, right? Doesn't it feel that way?
There's just
baseball feels like it looks like.
I think in the simplest terms, it's like before I step in the box, when it's going bad, it's like you know this. I don't care what he throws, this isn't going to go well. He could tell me a fastball is coming down.
Right.
The middle. He could throw it right down the middle, and I could swing at the right time. Something's going to happen that's not in my favor. I'm going to pop it up. I'm going to miss it. It's just not going to work.
Square it up and go right to the shortstop. Anything, yeah.
And then
that's the confidence thing, and it's like,
yeah. I was on the other side. It's like when it's going, I don't care. I don't even know what this guy throws. I know nothing about him. I just know whatever he throws, I'm going to do something good with it. Doesn't matter if it's the best pitch.
It doesn't matter. And that's right. And that's the confidence thing. As a coach and as a player, you understand. But because you understand it, I think it's very important to actually try to enhance that, because it's so important. You know what I mean? It's like, I could do, like, you remember, what was that guy's name? He was Dominican, but he looked like he was Mexican. Rodriguez, was it? He was left-handed.
Oh, Eduardo?
Yeah, what was his last name? Rodriguez?
Yeah, Rodriguez. He's still in the bigs with the Red Sox, right? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know if he was with the Red Sox in the big leagues, but I know he came from the Red Sox.
We're probably thinking about different people. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the guy who like couldn't get out of the first inning for like 3 straight games or something like that? Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember his name, but that was one of the toughest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Right. When he first came to us, remember, he was dealing.
Prospect. They put him on like the top 10
he
prospect
was dealing,
list.
and I got in trouble because of him. Okay. When he came to us, and this is what I mean by confidence, he started doing really well. And the way he was pitching wasn't the right formula for success. So I would try to tell him, like, okay, you got away with that, but, like, it's not always going to work out like that. But he was having so much confidence, he didn't care to listen because he was dealing. And it was like, okay, that was all confidence. And then when the baseball gods say, you're doing it backwards. And now that time is over. It was devastating. Like you said, he couldn't get out of the first inning for like 3 straight starts. But he had been confident.
It was like a month. It was a month
Right.
of not being able to get out of the first inning. I've never seen
Yeah.
anything like it. And he wasn't really walking guys.
Yeah, he was just just bad.
Yeah.
And it was funny. Remember that it completely turned around. And it was like when he was doing well, it was all confidence because he had just floated a breaking ball in there ahead in the count. And you know, as a hitter, okay, guy may do that first pitch where you just kind of, okay, I'm not even, going to address that pitch.
Yeah, not a good idea deep in the count.
Right. But he was doing that and guys were popping up, swinging and missing it. And I was like, dude, it's not going to, it's not going to keep working like that. And it did. It did for him for like a month. And I couldn't get him to come out of it, but he was really doing well. And then when it hit the fan, it was just like, I remember getting a call from Ryan got a call from the GM and he was pissed. He was like, what'd y'all do to this guy? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, we were thinking about trading him. He was doing so well. And I was like, well, he was doing well. Yeah. He wasn't supposed to be, like he was, but he wasn't supposed to be. And that's all confidence. And that's what confidence does. Allows you things and get away with it. And that's what people don't understand. Like if you're doing something totally wrong, it's not always going to work out that way.
Right.
But it can get you through, and I just think it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
No, I agree.
Like, what do you guys feel about analytics?
I mean, I think you know me well enough to know probably how I feel about it. I think like anything, it's a good tool to use, but like you said, there's so many, to me, I think we agree there's so many more important parts of being a great athlete in general, but specifically to being a successful pitcher that go beyond just the numbers, what the numbers say, what your spin rate is, what your pitches are doing. Like that's all great. It's important to work on, but at some point, like there's a certain feel that seems to now be ignored when it comes to analyzing sports in general, but specifically baseball and analytics. So yeah, I would say I'm not the biggest fan.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I was just gonna say,
how about you, David?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I've kind of come to this realization that like stats, numbers in the game in general, like it's kind of only to devalue players, right? Like anything, any number you assign to like performance is just so somebody can say, this guy's good and this guy isn't as good. So like I think that's kind of what like a lot of the analytics is like Bennett is saying, you get some of the feel is missing because it was some of the intangible things that make somebody say good at pitching that you couldn't necessarily measure like you can measure like spin rate or some other things. But now you can kind of point to a lot of these numbers and say, yeah, this guy doesn't get to play because he doesn't do this. Or this guy doesn't get to play because he doesn't do this. Or this guy gets paid. Sorry, like this guy gets paid because he does this really well. And this guy doesn't get paid because he doesn't do it as well.
Right.
But I mean, but as far as like a tool, like, yeah, you can do some cool stuff as far as like figuring out how to play the game better by measuring what you do. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it's ultimately like it just keeps more people out of the game. But you kind of have to do that because you can't, people have to get paid. So it's, I don't know. What's the word? Necessary evil. I think is how I would look at it.
Okay. Right.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
It's really as far as the pitching side, I think it holds weight because it's important to understand if you can put measurements on what your pitches are supposed to be doing. You understand, like it's actually a way where it takes the guesswork out of it.
Right.
Like, okay, if I need my ball to rise, okay, and I'm throwing and I know my ball's doing this and I need to increase it, or if I need my breaking ball to do this, or I need my changeup like this, it's good to be able to have numbers to kind of. Oh, I think my earpiece went out. It's good to have numbers that. Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah,
You're good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's good to have numbers where you can kind of, okay, I'm here, but I want to be here, because you're doing that anyway without the numbers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now it gives you something actually concrete to shoot for.
Mhm.
But I think the part that's missing, I can't speak on hitting, but on pitching is, okay, you want your number to be here, here, and here. Okay, I know that because they're there. But there are times when you go out there in a game and your numbers aren't there. You still got to get people out.
right.
You know what I mean? Like that part for me is like, okay, well, my numbers aren't good today. All right, I'm not playing today, coach. No, you got to play. So now you got to figure out how to get people out without the numbers meeting standard. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, now that comes in to knowing how to pitch.
Right.
Okay, I don't have my best fastball today. I don't have a feel for my breaking ball today. That happens. I don't care what you do. You're going to go out there one day and that ball is going to feel like an ice cube in your hand. It's like, man, I don't feel that. You know what I'm talking about, man? I don't feel that breaking ball today. And I don't care what kind of numbers you got. And you show me in between it's not there. So, okay, how am I going to use the other stuff to maybe elongate the outing to where maybe I get a feel for my breaking ball? So now you got to learn how to, manipulate. Do I throw the ball off the plate to get room on the outside part of the plate? Do I do different things to keep the hitter from being aware that I have a breaking ball today? Can I just show it enough to put in his mind that it's still there, even though I know it's not there? You know what I mean? So then you have to learn pitch. The numbers can't tell you how to do that.
Right.
They can't tell you how to work within what you have right now at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to know. But
I was gonna say there's also the other side of it too, of guys where like their numbers are really good, but they're not pitching well and they're not succeeding. And then they go, well, my numbers are good.
Right.
And you go, okay, but at some point you got to start getting some guys out. So,
Right.
I mean, that's cool. Your spin rate's
Right.
kilos up. You got good spin on your breaking ball and kind of stuff. But we're down 7-0. And it's the second inning. So,
Right.
Yeah.
We had a guy we ended up releasing out of Delmarva, and his numbers were great. Like all his spin rates were really great, but it was just like he never got the outs,
Right.
So
sorry, D-Watch,
like you said,
sorry.
I was just gonna say a lot of I'm not totally plugged in to the the analytics discussion completely, but I see some of it here and there, social media and talking to people and whatnot. And it just it seems to me like you had when analytics started, it was these people that didn't play the game finding jobs and finding ways to make the game better. And now it's almost like it's gone so far in that direction that it almost seems like guys who played the game kind of are having trouble saying like, oh no, we have something to contribute to, like on the feel side of things, where like, yeah, like the people who really understand or started like all of the analytic stuff, they created all these great tools and everything like that, but you have to work with the field, like the people who understand the field side. And sometimes it's almost like the two sides are like butting heads. in where you know what I'm trying to say. Where like
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm kind of.
you feel
Go ahead.
that kind of like where like you're kind of saying, hey, like all this stuff is cool, but like you also gotta add more to it. It's not all that.
Well, I think it goes what we've been talking about pretty much the whole time. As a player, as an organization, as a farm director, whatever, you want to, in my mind, doesn't mean it's right. In my mind, you want to have the best for your player. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I had it and I have all the numbers and all of that, and I have people that work for my organization that understand those numbers, that's great, because information is power.
Right.
So if I want the best for my player, I'm going to have people like that working for my organization. But I'm also going to have people working for my organization that have actually been on it, because that's important, just as important as having the numbers. You know what I mean? Like, you want, in my opinion, if I were running an organization, I'd have both. Because it's like I said, it's good to have the numbers, but it's not the entire game. So I want to have people in my organization as well that have been through the war, have been through that fire, that the player. I've been on the team, like when I was saying I was 2-11 with a 6 ERA. I pitched twice in 1 month. That was it. I went 18 games without pitching. I pitched, and then I went 13 games without pitching because I sucked. I want somebody on my coaching staff that has been through that. Okay. Because I'm gonna have a player that's struggle like I was struggling, and let him know, like, just because you're struggling now doesn't mean you're gonna struggle forever. You're a good player, but if I don't have anybody in my organization that can relate to that guy's struggles, he's gonna by himself. Mm-hmm. When it comes to relating to somebody from the staff. Like, I know what it's like to go out there and be out there, like Bennett was saying, left one inning too long. Just like, because I've experienced it, I bring value to that player because I've been out there and I've been through it. And I've been successful. I've failed. But if you have all people that have never really been out there, that just know numbers, okay, well, you're a hitter. I know my exit velocity. I know the, launch angle. I know all that, but I can't recognize a breaking ball. So I keep swinging at that ball in the dirt. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what your exit velocity is. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your
it's zero
launch angle is. Right. So, you know what I mean? So I would need eventually that actually help me. I'm not saying guys that no analytics can't help. I'm not saying that by any means. Some guys probably can do the whole thing. I don't know. I don't hit. But it would be good to relate to a guy that, okay, well, he's got some at-bats underneath his belt. And he knows, something just from, okay, an approach to a hitter or to a pitcher. I mean, like, okay, I would take this approach, or, when I was having trouble seeing that breaking ball, this is what I did. That carries weight. I mean, it's huge. Like you said, you were saying earlier in the call, man, I wish I could talk to Albert Bell. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You ain't just saying that just because, his launch angle. You're saying it because he's been out there and he's done some things. And that, I think that's important, especially when, a player's trying to learn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And like this game is, it puts you in such a different place mentally than anything else I can think of, to where like you need people that have been into those places and seen people in those places to kind of, like you said, like coaching confidence. How do how do you tell somebody how to remain confident when they're having a bad month if you've
Right.
never had a bad month? You can tell them, you can tell them mechanically why they're having a bad month, but you also need somebody to say,
Right.
like, here's how you need to like frame this in your mind so that you don't lose your sanity.
Right. You see a kid, you know, in professional baseball, kid gets drafted out of high school. When does he really ever struggle?
Right.
If you really think about it, all right, if guy get drafted in, say, the top 5 rounds and he comes from high school, he's probably dominated every time he went to a field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in high school, you may face around 90 every now and then, but most guys aren't. You're not facing that day after day after day when you play. You play 3 times a week. You're not 90 miles an hour and 90 plus every day. You're facing that guy. He may be throwing 82. Other guy throwing 80. Other guy throwing maybe 85, maybe, and that's hard in high school. Not decent, good fastball. Okay, now you get to pro ball, and the guy that started the game, he's throwing 93. They took him out of the game, and the guy that comes in is throwing 97. They took him out, and the guy that came to that's throwing 99. And the guy that took him out is throwing 95, and they got other pitches. So now that same guy that was dominant in high school, he's 0 for the week.
Right.
And he's sitting in the dugout basically crying. And I've seen this. He's crying because it's like, okay, I was good. No, you're still good. Just the level of competition got better.
It's like good.
You can get better
different.
just as long. Yeah. Right. Now you just have to up your game, and you have to adjust to what you're seeing. You're just not there yet. But you have all the tools to get there. But you're just not. And okay, that guy, he don't know that. He doesn't know that he can adjust. He just knows he hadn't got a hit, and it's Friday.
Right,
that's all he knows. It's Friday, and I'm not even sniffing a hit. And this isn't fair. And that's the part that I believe that gets overlooked. He knows all the numbers. He knows where he needs to go with the numbers, but he's not succeeding. That's where you need that guy that's been where he's sitting right now to say, hey, dude, I know it sucks. You're gonna be, and it's good to hear that. I don't care. It's like, look, it won't stay like this. Trust me. And
right.
I've seen players develop. We've all seen players develop, because I've been with players where it's like, damn, he's in the major leagues. He sucked last year, or he was just an average dude.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been the player. I'm sure the player said he made it to the big leagues. He was 2-11. He's
right.
I've been that guy. You know what I mean? I was on the team, and you guys probably think I'm lying when I say this. And I've been talking way too long. I'm starting to sweat.
There's no such thing.
I was in fall league in Arizona, and we had Mookie Betts on the team. Right? Mookie Betts was second baseman for us. He played a little shortstop because we didn't really have a shortstop on that team. And I'm throwing BP. And I throw a pitch, and the guy ropes it to left center. And this guy runs it down. So I'm, what is that? Right? So through another pitch, a guy hits the ball to right center. The guy runs it down. So I'm like, is that Mookie? I'm an older guy, so my vision isn't that good. So I'm like, is that Mookie? So after the BP, I said, hey, was that you out in center field? He was like, yeah. I said, man, I played outfield before. He was like, yeah, that's what I played in high school. I didn't start playing infield until pro ball. And I was like, okay. I said, dude, and he wasn't with our organization. He was just on our team with the rest. I was like, okay, at the time, who was their second baseman? Pedroia?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had a conversation conversation with him. I said, they just signed Pedroia to like a 7-year contract. You're not going to play second base in Boston. Right. Now, some people may not tell him that, but I just think honesty is the best policy. You're not, they just paid him a lot of money. Now, I said, you're our best outfielder and you play second base. And I can just tell that just from you tagging today. Just how I said, if I were you, I said, I would shag every day after you take your ground balls because we're in a fall league. They're scouts plays. You want to get to the big leagues. Next year, he was in the big leagues playing outfield. Had nothing to do with me. Saw him doing, but I say that to say this. On that team, he was not our best hitter.
Right.
He was just a dude.
It's a really good team then.
No. We did. We won the whole thing. We won the whole thing. It hit like he hits now then. And that's what I mean about being able to relate to a guy. Not saying he was struggling then, because he wasn't. But being able to tell a player like, look, you have the ability, and he just took off. And nobody knows when that is. Like if you'd have looked at that team, knowing Mookie Betts, who he is now, you never would have said, yeah, I can see that. You saw he was a good player, very good player, but he became an extremely dangerous hitter after that.
Yeah, I gotta say,
like he was a good hitter.
No, I was gonna say, I gotta say, because we're talking about Mookie Betts. I'm pretty like, and this is kind of to your point, like I'm pretty sure I played against him, like in short season A. Like I have to look it up, but like I remember there being a black second baseman for the Red Sox thing, and I'm pretty sure it was like Mookie or something like that. But I say that to say I didn't think he was Mookie Betts, like as we know him now. Or I would have been like, or the rest of the time I would have been like, you guys have to see this Mookie Betts guy play. He's the best player I've ever seen. But like what, like to your point, like he was able to develop into that.
Right.
Given, you know, perspective and all that stuff by good coaches.
Right. But like, okay, if somebody's coaching a player, okay, some kind of astronomical jump, like he could steal bases, he could swing the bat, but he wasn't like on that team when he came to the plate, you were like, okay, he's a home run threat. Like anybody on the pro team can hit a home run. But you didn't see him like, okay, he's our home run threat. No, he wasn't that guy. He was a good hitter. We needed him on base. He would cause all kind of problems. Still does. He bets a fastball and expect to get the ball back. Not now, right?
Right.
You just wouldn't you wouldn't think that, because you know he's dangerous. And okay, and I'll use myself for an example when I say I sucked. I went from sucking, I was 2-11, to sucking not as bad the next year. I was 3-8. Okay, I still sucked, but I wasn't.
Oh boy, get you that extra win.
The next year, right? The next year, and 3 less losses, and the next year, I was like 6-0, and my ERA was under 1. Right, like that. It just happened over a year. The next year, I went from A-ball to the big leagues. So like, because I experienced that and I've seen things like that as a player and as a coach, value in what you experience on the field is just when it comes to helping a person trying to do.
Millsy.
Oh, we lost Millsy.
Oh no. We've pushed Zoom to their limits.
Did we? How long have we been here?
It's been a while. I've let it go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if he doesn't come back, thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure to follow Ryan the Bus Podcast on Instagram. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Do you think he's hearing all this and just screaming at us?
I don't know, but he's frozen.
Yeah.
Still recording. He's gone. That's
He's
it.
gone.
We kicked him out. Thank you
And
for
just
listening
like
to the
that-
episode. D-Wash, say goodbye to the people.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to check us out, go to our Instagram page at Riding the Bus Pod, correct? We have the link tree
Riding the Bus
there.
Podcast. It's not.
Riding the Bus Podcast.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, we got the link tree there. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, like, all that cool stuff. Your feedback is very important to us and much appreciated. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
All right. Cool. All right.